YouTube world? My name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Okay, so by the time you're watching this, I am filming this on Sunday, April 25th. But by the time you're watching this, I'm actually posting. I'm actually on a little bit of a Mother's Day vacation, so I'm not gonna be doing any videos this weekend. By the time you're watching this, it will be April 30th, Friday, which will be the last day of April. Since I'm going on an early Mother's Day vacation, I don't really want to watch any movies, and you know, things could happen. Who knows? But as right now, as you guys are watching, it is April 30th, and I wanted to talk about the end of the month, which is my end of month rankings, where I rank the non-new release films as well as my new releases of the month. And we're starting off with the non-new release films first. And this is actually the month I watched the most movies. I've actually watched 15 movies in the last 30 days. Well, sorta. But with that said, let's get started talking about all of these films. And we're gonna get started at number 15. So of the movies that I watched in April, I actually watched the Gospel According to St. Matthew for this year's Friday, Good Friday, and I didn't really like it that much. I'm not saying it's an awful movie, but I just didn't really like it that much. I didn't like it that much, so, it was mostly just boring. I wasn't really entertained with it. There was some good acting. The people that played the characters, I felt like they felt like they were playing the actual roles of the people in this world. And the music's pretty good at the same time, but it's not nearly as great as you would imagine it. But it's known to be one of the best films of this genre. But it's not my favorite film, so it comes in last place. So, The Sum of All Fears, I was actually watching this to get ready for the new Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan movie that's coming out actually next week on Amazon Prime, but obviously I'm not gonna be able to watch it because I'll be on my Mother's Day trip, as well as and plus I don't even have Amazon Prime anymore, which it's a good thing I actually watched Coming to America 2, and Monsters vs. Aliens before I wasn't able to use it anymore. But sorry, anyways, getting back to The Sum of All Fears, I thought there was some pretty good stuff. I thought the cast was pretty good with Morgan Freeman and Ben Affleck. It was kind of cool to see an early Ben Affleck, as I've seen him as Batman in the DCEU films with Batman vs. Superman, Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So it's a bit weird to see him in a different film like this. But this is not a great movie, okay? First off, I don't even think there's any action sequences in this film. Like, the story is just very bland, and, like, it's mostly just kind of boring. Some of the acting, like, Ben Affleck does not really know how to be the detective, and his interactions with Morgan Freeman just feel kind of off and weird. And I don't know, this was just a tough film to kind of sit through a little bit. But, I mean, probably if I watched the earlier Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan movies, I would probably like them more. But this is not my favorite. This is not my favorite movie of the bunch, so it comes in at number 14. So this is actually one of those movies that I actually didn't talk about because I watched it when I was sick. If you guys don't know, when it was April 9th through the 11th of April this month, obviously, because this video is all about April of non-released films. But I haven't really talked about it. I gave it a D+, and a 6 out of 10 of the entertainment score. But what are my actual thoughts about it? And I thought that the best thing about this film is obviously the action sequences. I mean, the action sequences are just handled in a very cool way. All of them are choreographed in a very cool way. And it was just fantastic what they were able to do with the action. Also, it was kind of cool to see these characters, all these different worlds and stuff like that. But this movie has so many issues. The story is kind of boring. Alright, the way they kind of bring in this real world stuff, I don't really think was that very good. The characters are just very bland. The CGI, I just think it looked too cartoonish, and the way it was done. And so for me, this movie just has a lot of issues, and that's why I don't like it. The CGI is bad. The characters are bad, the story is bad, and when certain scenes happen, you don't really think of it. But I think for the time it came out, I probably think it would have been a lot better, because if you look at the music, it actually is pretty good, but the overall film itself, not so much. But I kind of still enjoy it. I gave it a D+ because I enjoy the action sequences and the music in the background with the action sequences. So that's stuff I enjoy, but overall it's not a great movie. So for me, Rise of the Guardians, I thought it was okay. The characters, Jack Frost and the Easter Bunny, played by Chris Pine and Hugh Jackman, I thought were pretty standout roles. As well as Alec Baldwin as Santa Claus, pretty good roles. And of course, I thought the animation was pretty good with the stylized and everything. And I thought the story of it was also pretty good, as it was that the Guardians are the actual people that bring joy to kids all over the world. And also, Jude Law as the Boogeyman is really good. So I would actually say he is another one of those standout characters of this movie. But really, the movie's kind of mixed for me. I was just kind of confused of why why all these people are doing what they're doing. Why is Jack Frost into the story? Why is it focusing on a specific, like, holiday? Why is it just focusing on Easter? So yeah, that didn't really come together for me. But an interesting thing is that when the weekend of Easter, this was the DreamWorks film I had to review for the weekend of Easter, which was just very cool to me. So that's just a little detail I wanted to say. But the whole movie as a whole, it's not that great though. But I still enjoy it though. I probably will watch it again. Probably, I don't know, but I'll probably watch it again. There's another one of those movies that I watched when I was sick. And if you know my thoughts on the original film, just go check out my review for it. I posted it like a month ago. And if you know my thoughts, if you saw my review for that film, you know that I actually really liked the first Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. It just has like a nice flavor. It just has like a great idea of making water into food. And it just took in like a great idea. The characters are pretty funny. The animation is really good. And this is another one of those movies where you need to watch. If you're gonna watch this, you need a snack. You really do. But this film, the second one, I thought it was okay. I gave it a B-, because I had some enjoyment value into it. But I didn't really like it. I thought the original one was better. Just this one, I think the story was a little bit difficult to overflow. Obviously, the standout scene is where they go to the animal food world. That is, of course, great. Where you get to see, like, shrimp as chimpanzees, bananas as dolphins. Like, it's a very cool thing that they did. And, of course, the animation is pretty good as well. So, there's things to like, but I wish it could have been better than the original film because of this animal food world. So Turbo, I thought it was a good DreamWorks film. It's definitely not like the best of the DreamWorks films that I've seen so far, but good enough. It basically copies that story that we've all seen before, where the main character, he wants something, he wants to do something in life, and the people around him just don't understand that, and then he meets up with this other character that wants something else in life similar to his, and it's another one of those stories, and I just don't feel like it's pretty well, I don't think it's well done as, like, I feel like it tries to be like, and stories like that has been done in, like, Coco and Ratatouille. Those are really the only movies I can really think of right now that have done that storyline. But I just feel like that it doesn't do it well. Like, you don't really care for the characters, and it doesn't feel like a perfect story. And it doesn't really make sense of why this snail wants to race. Like, it doesn't make sense. But on the positives, the animation is pretty good. Some of the snail stuff, I think, is pretty fun to watch. When Turbo gets his superpowers, it's just really funny. And also the voice cast is just great with Snoop Dogg, the girl that played Letty from the Fast and Furious films. It's a great voice cast. And of course the Chinese guy from the Hangover movies. So I thought that it had a good voice cast, it had some good animation. Not the best story, but it was just a decent film. So starting this month, I started doing this thing because my family thinks I only watch movies just to review them. And I didn't want them to just think that, because like we literally have a talk about this, and so I wanted to have time to watch movies that I need to watch, but also watch movies that they want to offer me and stuff like that. And so the first movie I actually watched was that I started with me. And I basically went by my watch list on Letterboxd, and I started with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Yes, I know, watching a Christmas movie in springtime, I know, but it was the first film of that thing that was free, and it wasn't really available on my series, so that was fun. But then after that, I watched Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets because she wants me to watch the Harry Potter movies, and the reason for that is because she actually got all of them on DVD, all 8 of them, except the Crimes of, not the Crimes of Grindelwald, the Fantastic Beasts films. I guess they're not really part of the Harry Potter films. They're more part of the Wizarding World films. So yeah, she got all eight of the Harry Potter films for Christmas, this past Christmas. And so, what are my thoughts on Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets? I thought it was a very good film. I probably liked this one a little bit more because I thought the story, like when I first started with it, I thought it was okay. I just didn't think of why they took him away. I mean, it made sense because, you know, Harry's adopted parents are evil people. But once you got into the other story of why Dobby was trying to keep Harry away from Hogwarts, you kind of understand it a little bit better, and that things were happening, and it makes for a lot of good things. Like, there's things that you don't understand happening, but then you figure Dobby does it, and then Curse does, then something that's evil going after Harry does it, and it makes for a great film. And of course, my sister said I would like this more because it has some action sequences, and which I did like. So that's a plus. So yeah, I actually really like this movie, and I'm very excited to watch Harry Potter 3, which I don't really know the title of. You come down in the comments which one it is. So for me, Central Intelligence, I actually really wanted to watch this movie. Like, my family put this on a long time ago. Before I ever had this YouTube channel, before I ever, like, became a fan of movies. I just always wanted to watch this movie fully. And, I mean, I don't really know what it was. I never watched the movie fully. My family has seen it fully, but I just didn't. But, I just found this movie to be incredibly watchable. Incredibly rewatchable. And the magic that puts this movie on spot is Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. Them on screen just have this magic. And I believe that this was the movie that kind of introduced me to The Rock, as well as Moana. And they just have such a great chemistry together. There's always these pop songs that just make me laugh, and that's what this film does. It's supposed to make you laugh because of these actors, and with all these pop songs with the miso, a word that rhymes with corny, and then it plays the "I'm gonna tell you what you want, what I really, really want." Like the song, the way they play the songs and the jokes just works so nicely. And also, as this is sort of a spy film, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the storyline for the spy stuff, but the action sequences I actually thought were really cleverly well done. Like, basically what Dwayne Johnson did in, like, Hobbs and Shaw and some of the Fast and Furious films, he does it in here. And I actually kind of like that, where he just grabs things and just starts beating people up with it. Like, I love that stuff. Like, literally fights someone with a banana, and then he, like, shoots a thing, and then it knocks the other person down. Like, that's clever action sequences that I absolutely love. And also has a really nice theme about bullying. Because if you know, I have been, in my elementary school years, I have been through bullying. It's been a major part of my life, of my elementary school years. And I've actually had some big stories with that, but I don't want to get into that. But overall, it's a very rewatchable film, and I really enjoyed this movie. So the Croods, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I did watch this movie the week I was becoming sick, and I did review it. So it's technically the only movie I did review that week. But, I just thought it was a really good film. I just thought that the caveman humor worked really nicely. It had some character arcs it had arcs for the characters. And I thought some of the caveman action worked really nicely, and the stunts were really nice. The animation was also pretty good, and all these weird creatures, the world of it just felt really nice. But the whole weirdness of it, because it's set with caveman people, it's a little bit off, but I think the mix still worked. So I actually really did enjoy this movie. So when I went to the end, I was satisfied with it, so I enjoyed the movie. So National Lampoon Christmas Vacation was a blast. It really is the film that represents of what would happen at a Christmas party, or Christmas stuff that would happen around the Christmas time. And it does really well with the father getting the bonus, or the turkey becoming so dry, the tree getting the stuff that's so sticky and sticking everywhere, and like the lights not working. Like, it just works so well with all these weird stuff, and the comedy just works so well. So sorry about that. So I just thought the comedy worked. So, I mean, I haven't watched any of the National Lampoon's films, but I thought that the texture of it with the Christmas vibe worked nicely. and I thought it was a very enjoyable movie. Alright, so the Sugarland Express, this was the first Steven Spielberg film that I saw ever. And we'll get into another Steven Spielberg film in just a second. But, this was a movie that, when I was starting to watch it, I was like, this is really boring. What is this? And then, I, read the story for it. And once I read the story on, like, Google for it, the movie came together for me. And the interactions between this couple and this cop worked really nicely. And some of the emotions were really nicely. The music in the background was handled nice. And the story was pretty well done. I will say this. I was a little bit confused when they didn't get the baby in the end. So, it's kind of frustrating. But overall, it's still a very enjoyable film. As we see Goldie Hawn in her old days, it's a very cool film, so I like this movie. Now, Jaws, I perfectly believe that this is the better Steven Spielberg film that I saw this month, and here's my reason why. I just think that this movie was really good. It just worked on so many levels. The characters are very good. Roy Schneider being the main actor in this film as the chief, the cop, really good. The three actors that were on the boat, really nice characters. You start to explore them a little bit better. The thrills of the shark fights are just really good. And the music is fantastic by Steven Spielberg once again. And yeah, so this is overall just a great film. Well, not a great movie. It still has some issues. I just feel like the pacing felt a little bit off, and it can get a bit boring sometimes. But I still really enjoyed this movie, so that's my thoughts on Jaws. Titanic, yes, I did see this the first time. This was actually my mom's pick to watch because her and my sister loved this movie. I'm not like the biggest fan of the movie. I'm not like an A fan of it, but it's a very good movie. Of course, the big standout here is the relationship between Jack and Rose is phenomenal. They just have great chemistry together on screen. And really just as this was the second James Cameron movie I saw, it was cool to see what his visual effects looked like back in the 90s from an earlier perspective. Because, you know, I've seen Avatar, and like the other characters are just great. They just get all these moments where you're like, oh, you hate them. And it's like, you get angry at the characters, you hate the characters you're supposed to hate, and it's really good. And then when the boat sinks, your heart starts racing, especially when Rose puts the kid to sleep, as you know that they're putting them to sleep so they can drown peacefully. And like, it's just so sad, and like, it's just so sad as all these people froze to death, and it's just so sad. One thing I did realize though is that when Rose is trying to get the last boat attention, people that are on the last boat to come back for the people that are alive, when it plays that music in the background and it's like, come back, I realized that was the sound from TikTok. And I was like, I knew that sounded familiar. Like, I knew that music sounded familiar, and I knew that line sounded familiar, so that was just a little cool detail. But the entire film just did great with emotions, and the Titanic boat sinking scene is just phenomenal with the emotion, the music, absolutely fantastic. So I love Titanic. Well, not love, but it's a really good movie. Now, The Passion of the Christ, I guess I saw it back in the first week of April, so I don't have a lot to say about it, but for me, The Passion of the Christ is a very good movie. It deals with the story of Jesus in a very compelling way. Mel Gibson's directing is just fantastic, as we see Jesus just get beaten up by all of these people, and like you can feel the emotions throughout it as he's just getting killed and beaten up. It's just, and like you get to learn about different parts of Jesus and the story of Jesus, and it's just, such a phenomenal movie. But I still have my issues though. It's kind of boring a little bit. And some stuff doesn't really work, but overall it works for me. And yeah. So that's my thoughts on The Passion of Christ. But we have one more movie left, and you're going to be surprised by this. So for me, this was probably the most surprising movie to make my list of my favorite movies of DreamWorks and this month. And I was not expecting this movie I was not expecting to love this movie. I was expecting it to be like everybody else, where it was just a decent film. But then I watched it and I just loved it. Like the mix of time travel and history and jokes and dog jokes, the whole mix just felt so right. Mr. Peabody is just such an energetic character, where he's so smart in that he can do everything, where he can play rock, he can play the sax, he can do everything. And then like the animation's just really good, and then like the score from Danny Elfman is just phenomenal. So I thought that it worked really nicely, and adding all these other characters from like George Washington, then Abraham Lincoln, the people from the Trojan War, the French Revolution, like I love the way they did all this stuff, and it was just a very fun movie. However, also, and it felt when they were introducing Mr. Peabody, I felt like it kind of felt like a commercial. I mean, it felt like something Mr. Peabody would do, something in a commercial like this, when they were introducing time travel, introducing himself. It felt like a commercial, but I thought it worked. But there are problems here with this movie still. I thought the relationship between Penny and Sherman, I just don't really think works. And I felt like that there was a certain piece of Mr. Peabody and Sherman's relationship that I felt like we didn't have answered, and I kind of wanted it to be answered, but we just didn't. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on Mr. Peabody and Sherman. I still love this movie, so that's why it's my favorite movie of this month of non-released films of April 2021. So there you have. That's my list of this little thing, of this list of non-release movies. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My Instagram name is Marvel6. My TikTok name is Marvel1Fan. If you guys don't understand those names, head to my about section so you can follow me on those social medias. I'm also on Letterboxd. It's the same name as my Instagram. It's Marvel_6_, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.